पहले तो मैं चाहूंगा कि आप सभी लोग बड़ा जोरदार तालियों से इजराइल के एम्बेसडर का स्वागत करिए, क्योंकि ये वो परिस्थिति है जब समय नहीं है किसी के पास भी अपना पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू रखने के लिए, लेकिन उसके बावजूद भी TV9 के मंच पर एम्बेसडर का आना ये हमारे लिए बड़े ऑनर की बात है. I was just telling them that you hardly get any time, and still you're able to come here, and we're grateful to you for that. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for the invitation.
So, first, there's been a lot of confusion. We heard something very positive from President Trump yesterday, and then there was a change of stance, or then there's a different statement from Prime Minister Netanyahu today. I'd like to quote a few lines. President Trump said that over the last 2 days, very good and productive conversation regarding a complete and total resolution of our hostilities in Middle East. And then we see Prime Minister Netanyahu saying, I spoke with my friend President Trump, and they're going to go ahead in achieving their objectives. So we are in a dilemma. What exactly is happening?
Well, first of all, people will continue to try to find a gap between President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu. Good luck with that. Time and again, we've seen that there is nearly no gap between the two, because we agree on the aims of this operation, and that is to remove two existential threats. For us, are existential, but I think for the United States and the rest of the world, they are strategic threats. We saw how the Iranians fired an intercontinental ballistic missile not long ago, despite the fact that they were stating for years that they are not developing them. So people understand now what the intentions of this revolutionary regime are. And we are concentrating on removing these two threats and maybe creating the conditions for the Iranian people to embrace their future. Okay, now this can end with an agreement or without an agreement. Okay, I think it's fair that the President of the United States is trying to get an agreement. We support that. But it doesn't mean that we're going to get into a ceasefire immediately before an agreement is reached.
Ambassador, now, that's the follow-up question which probably everybody wants to understand. Just a few hours after his statement on Truth Social, President Trump said that we have removed the first layer of leadership, we have removed the second layer of leadership, we have removed the third layer of leadership. We have no idea about the status of the next supreme leader. Whom are you going to talk? Who's the person you're going to talk? That's the question which everybody's asking.
Well, don't be too worried about that. There always will be somebody, okay? And at the end of the day, I think that we are going to get into a situation in which we maybe will find somebody that is responsible enough to take care of the people of Iran before it takes care of the regime of Iran. Because that would create a change in the dynamics in our region. Just before I came here, you had here what is called the representative of the so-called supreme leader. And he was saying some ridiculous things, that he doesn't believe that countries have the right to attack other sovereign countries. Now, guess what? These guys have been attacking us for the last 47 years. But it's not that they've been attacking us, they're attacking other Arab countries. Before the 7th of October, the Iranians had control over 4 Arab capitals. What is that if not an attack against the sovereignty of other countries? So we have to have a change of orientation here. Otherwise, we'll find ourselves fighting against them time and again. Now, what is unique about the situation is that after so many years in which this regime was immune, for different reasons, of being held accountable for the terrible crimes they have been committing throughout, against their own people, against other people, against us, finally they are vulnerable. So we've been able to penetrate in a way that might create a beginning of a change within Iran, and you can see the hints. There's a lot of propaganda.
What exactly what exactly is the change, or what exactly is the end game of this war? Is it the missile program you want to end?
Yeah.
Is it the uranium enrichment, or is it the regime change? What is the objective?
Well, first of all, I stated the aims. I stated them quite simply many times. So by now, I think everybody understands. We want to remove these existential threats, and we want to give hope for the Iranian people that there will be some change within the regime or change of regime. We don't know if we're going to achieve that because we don't have intentions of invading Iran. But what is changing the dynamic is that since the beginning of this operation, the regime was saying, we are not going to talk with the Americans. Well, guess what? Now they are talking with the Americans. So something is cracking there. We are seeing it within the ranks of the regime because, first of all, they are not always talking on the same note. We are seeing that there are some units that have stopped functioning, that there are some units of the Basij that refuse to go out and oppress the people. So this is a very real moment that entails the opportunity maybe of not only debilitating Iran from this, removing these existential threats, but maybe also creating change. We don't know yet if it will happen, but we certainly hope it will, because I think it will get the entire region into a new era of more stability and more opportunity.
So when you say that you want to give hope to the people of Iran, if the attacks are happening on the residential areas, if the attacks are happening on the hospitals, if the attacks are happening on the schools, what gives you this confidence that people of Iran are going to be
I'll tell you,
hopeful about it?
You have to watch the videos that are coming out. Although the internet is cut off, from time to time you see videos. First of all, these tragic incidents that you mentioned are the exception, not the rule. We've been doing thousands, even if not tens of thousands of attacks, of raids. All of them are towards military targets. Sometimes you have situations in which the Basij goes to stadiums or to schools, but the situation is that yesterday, for example, in one of the cities when we were attacking an IRGC compound, you could see the video of people laughing, celebrating. The people of Iran are celebrating this moment, okay? They want change. This is what the majority of the Iranian people want.
Ambassador, about 1,400 people are dead. That's a rough estimate. 200 of them are children. There are reports which say that, and they've published everywhere in all kinds of publications, that earlier they had no water, now they don't even have a roof. How do you see that people supporting this kind of
Look,
bombing, this kind of...
War is something you have to avoid. We did whatever we could. Look, take the trajectory of Israel in the last 25 years. Since we tried to make peace and offered our neighbors a two-state solution back in 2000. After that, they launched a campaign of terror against us. We tried for 25 years to avoid a direct confrontation with Iran, trying everything that we have, diplomacy, sanctions, whatever, trying to disrupt their plan. And we used this time, these 25 years, to build our economy. Our economy back in the year 2000 was about $10,000. Now it's $65,000 per capita, okay? So we used our time. We tried to postpone this war, but we didn't have any choice at this moment because the Iranians were going to go immune, and they continue with their plan to exterminate us. So this for us is existential. Now, I wonder why you are so, emotional about this, which, is very tragic. And you weren't that emotional a few weeks back when the Iranian regime was killing tens of thousands of their own people.
I was equally emotional when Arad was attacked. I was equally emotional.
When?
When Arad was attacked day before yesterday.
No, I'm talking about 2 months ago when the regime killed tens of thousands of protesters in the streets. I don't remember people were becoming so emotional. So this regime has been killing people for the last 47 years all around the Middle East and especially inside Iran. Okay? They've been hanging, this poor guy, the wrestler. I don't know if you saw that. A wrestler that was protesting against the regime.
19-year-old wrestler,
He was executed, okay? They're executing their young generation just for trying to express themselves. So this is a terrible regime. The mere fact that you are legitimizing a person like this representative of the supreme leader, it's outrageous. This guy should be banned from any civilized forum around the world. These are killers.
Ambassador, there's a school of thought which says that killing of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has led to another person at the throne as a supreme leader who's even more hardliner, that is his son, Mujtaba. What is your take on that?
Well, this so-called supreme leader, he's been ordering directly the killing and murdering of people all around the region. His favorite son, so-called son, was Qasem Soleimani, a mega terrorist that has been creating all these proxy armies around the Middle East and destabilizing our region. So he finally was held accountable after multiple times that not only us, but the entire international community has been trying to talk sense with him and convince him to change course. So the fact that he is removed is something that gives hope that things will change. Maybe not in the short range, because naturally these kind of regimes, they always double down, okay, in the short range. But at the end of the day, this is something that gives opportunity. Again, I'm not a prophet. I don't know what will happen in the future. This war can end in one of two conditions. One is that we will finish our military targets and we will stop, okay? And the second is that there will be a ceasefire. I think that this regime has an interest to reach to a ceasefire, because if they don't, they are going to be subject to continued attacks because they are exposed. They are not having the upper hand, despite all the confusion and disinformation you're having around. Yes, in Israel, we are under pressure to the extent that our citizens have to sit in shelters, and our schools right now are not operating. We also had 20 people dead and hundreds of wounded. But I think that the people of Israel have the resolve, because they understand that this is something that we did because we didn't have any choice. And there is a hope that after 2.5 years of a war effort, has been the longest war in the history of Israel, finally we have the proxies of Iran debilitated substantially, and we have Iran on the defensive. I think that also countries in the region, other countries that have been suffering from Iran's aggression, they also want to see us and the Americans go through and finish the job. And I'm hopeful that we are nearing that point very soon.
Ambassador, without diverging too much into the operational details, and I respect that, is Israel going to go after Mujtaba Khamenei as well?
Well, we already said that nobody is immune in Iran, in this regime. So I think that time is not working in their favor.
Okay. My second last question to you is, we see maybe a temporary, but a very substantial economic crisis because of the Strait of Hormuz. Is America and Israel thinking about it? Do you have the support of other countries on it? What is your strategy on it?
Well, first of all, the international community has been very clear in condemning this counterattack of the Iranians that has attacked with no reason whatsoever civilian targets in the Gulf, and they are trying to extort the world through the strangling of the Hormuz Straits. That's not legitimate. I think that finally European and other countries are coming through in a consensus to adopt another UN Security Council resolution that will actually adopt a Chapter 7 clause that will give not only the Americans but others the right to forcefully open the straits. You're right that this has created a spike in prices, and some people are suffering from uncertainty when it comes to their immediate needs. But first of all, I think that India is managing it very well when it comes to supplies. And second, this spike is not that dramatic like the spike we saw only 2 years ago through, during COVID, when the prices went up to $120, or during the Gulf crisis in the 70s, the energy crisis in the 70s, when the prices of oil went 400% up. So here we started this operation with a level of $60 per barrel. Now we are at a level of about 90. And it's a temporary spike. I'm pretty confident that within a few weeks, when this crisis is over, prices will normalize. Also because I think when you look at the markets, the production capacity of the United States, of countries like Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, and Russia, and many more, are such that they can easily fill the gap within a few days or weeks.
And there is a perception that it seems that America is taking few steps backwards. Apparently, there are reports that they're leaving some bases in Middle East. President Trump has been talking about negotiations.
Which bases are they leaving?
Bahrain, Kuwait, Iraq. There are reports. You can correct me if I'm wrong. President Trump is talking in a tone that he is thinking about negotiations. Is there a perception that America is moving backwards? And also, they did mention that they were not being asked and they were not being told when Natanz was being attacked, when the Pars gas field was being attacked.
Yeah, look, it's very easy for people to have a misconception of what's going on. I think it's natural that when you are attacked, you will go to a defensive position and you will evacuate some places that where you want to be hit. That's very natural. And when it comes to the outcome, I think that it is in the interest of the United States and the international community to try to get to an agreement that meets the conditions that the Americans have put in the first place. To get all the uranium out of Iran, to have zero enrichment there because they have cheated and they don't deserve enriching uranium like everybody else. To have a situation in which they stop supporting these proxies that are destabilizing our region, etc. So I think that it is quite sensible that the Americans will engage when they see that there is willingness to negotiate. And actually, they have been approached by the Iranian side, so they are negotiating. We'll see if this negotiation ends in a good outcome.
Is it a one-sided negotiation? Is Israel a part of it, or they're just doing it by themselves, America?
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
Negotiations between Iran and America.
Yeah.
Is Israel part of it? Is Israel being consulted about from it?
Look, we are, as I told you, in sync with the United States. We are being updated on a daily basis on what's going on. And I'm sure that this connection between us, look, for the first time in history, the Israeli Defense Forces have been operating quite smoothly together with American forces in the Middle East. This is something that didn't happen in the past. So it's a testament of the very good connections that we have, both at the military level, but also at the political level. And this coordination will continue, I'm pretty sure.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Thank you very much for finding time for us. Thank you very much.